We're back, talking about the iconic year of 1979. And we're looking even deeper into what made this pivotal year so legendary. This goes beyond the two future NBA legends, Magic Johnson and Larry Bird. It's a snapshot of college basketball on the verge of major transformation. We'll follow Bird's Indiana State Sycamores and Magic's Michigan State Spartans through their wild rides. We're going to uncover how these iconic players and the sport itself were molded by this year. Larry Bird, before becoming Larry Legend, we know was that scrawny kid from French Lick, Indiana, who seemed lead-footed at times, but dominated the season pros and pickup games. He was a raw talent, and he combined that raw talent with an insane work ethic, practicing in the rain, getting kicked out of gyms for practicing too late, or even being told to ease up on his teammates during practice so as not to rattle their confidence. Off the court, Bird was a prankster and a trash talker who sometimes even overruled the coach's plays. Yet despite his independent streak, he was incredibly unselfish on the court. He prioritized the right play over padding his stats. This shows the true leadership and understanding that success comes from elevating your teammates. Meanwhile, over in Michigan, Magic Johnson was building his own legacy, but faced his own challenges in 1979. Opposing teams started to figure out how to defend against his unique style, and the media scrutiny was intense. Starting the year number one didn't help matters. One columnist even called him mediocre and said he wasn't as good as Quinn Buckner. Imagine the pressure of being the biggest name in college basketball, leading a top-ranked team, and then facing such criticism. The Spartans went from being number one to struggling to stay in the top 10. This was Magic's fault. Or was something else going on with the team? Michigan State had a unique coach in Judd Heathcote, known for his innovative strategies and spirited sideline behavior. He was intense, demanding, and pushed his players. With the Spartans facing adversity, his leadership became even more crucial. It's fascinating to contrast him with Indiana State's coach, Bob King. Two very different personalities, leading their teams through challenging seasons with totally different approaches. There's no single path to success. It's about finding the right coaching fit to unlock a player's full potential. And I think this sometimes gets missed even today, where we think there's one pathway, or we're sold the fact that there's one pathway, or that one coach makes all the difference, when it's often a constellation of things that matter. The mix of the players, even the managers or the people around the team, are things that all go into the stew to make it taste right, or to stir the pot to make things work together. And 1979 was more than just about Bird and Magic, of course. It marked this seismic shift in college basketball. The Big Ten was finally stepping out of football shadow, although it might be back in its shadow. Smaller conferences like the Missouri Valley were also now in the spotlight, and the NCAA tournament, limited 2 teams per conference, had incredibly high stakes. This made the atmosphere electric and packed the arenas like we know today. It created these incredible battles and controversial calls. No replay back then. Remember, there was a bomb threat during the Michigan State-Illinois game. Nobody left their seats. They were glued to the action. That's how intense and passionate people were about college basketball back then. Or maybe how naive. Both Bird and Magic's teams navigated this crazy season and earned their way into the NCAA tournament. That's where things got really interesting. The 1979 NCAA tournament was a pressure cooker. Every game was do or die. Indiana State, the Cinderella story from a small conference, was undefeated until the last regular season game, where they narrowly lost to New Mexico State. Even in defeat, they showed resilience, almost making a comeback in the final minutes. They proved they belong on the national stage and could hang with the best. Bird's leadership was key. He wouldn't let his team get discouraged. Michigan State, of course, started the year ranked number 1, but they had to fight to live up to the hype. They faced a lot of bizarre situations like the aforementioned bomb threat during the Illinois game. Nobody flinched, though. The players played, the fans stayed. These games meant more than just basketball. They were about pride, passion, representing your school and your state, just the population around you, the people that you knew. This intensity probably contributed to their eventual championship win, the Spartans, that is. The 1979 championship game was a dream matchup. Magic versus Bird. Michigan State versus Indiana State. It lived up to the hype, with Michigan State's fast-paced, high-flying offense led by Magic's passing against Indiana State's deliberate, disciplined approach anchored by Bird's shooting and rebounding and passing. Two completely different styles clash. Michigan State won their first national championship in a thrilling finish. And though Bird didn't win the title, he's still bitter about this, even today. It was still a huge moment for him. It solidified him as a star. It was a coming out party for both Bird and Magic, and the NBA was watching. This game wasn't just about two teams. It captured the country's imagination and brought college basketball into the mainstream, paved the way for the sport's massive popularity today. It's a cultural event. It transcended sports. Those soon-to-be legends, Larry Bird and Magic Johnson, sat at the center. Their rivalry was just beginning to unfold, and it would define more than a decade of basketball. These two incredible players navigated the trials and triumphs of the 1979 season. They faced tough opponents, dealt with media scrutiny, or in Bird's case, skipped out on the interviews to not deal with the scrutiny and just hear about it in the background and be mad. They played in front of crowds, fiery crowds, before heading to the NBA, and it was all a gauntlet that prepared them to lead the NBA into a new era as well. The NBA was a different beast back then, too. It was more physical and competitive. And Bird landed in Boston with the Celtics, a team already loaded with talent and high expectations. How would he handle the pressure? He didn't shy away from the challenge. He brought that work ethic and fire that made him a legend at Indiana State. And he pushed his teammates, leading by example and setting a new standard. And the Celtics responded, transforming from a good team into a championship contender immediately. Magic was drafted by the Los Angeles Lakers and brought his unique brand of basketball to the NBA. His passing was dazzling, his energy was infectious, and he made the game fun. He controlled the tempo and made everyone around him better, conducting the Lakers into one of the most exciting and dominant teams in the league. The stage was set for an epic rematch between Bird and Magic in the NBA. Their first meeting was electric, filled with intensity, competitiveness, and history. The Celtics and Lakers became the dominant teams, their battles must-watch TV. The 1980s was a golden age for the NBA, with Bird and Magic at the center. They pushed each other to be better, to innovate, to reach new heights, facing off in the NBA Finals 3 times, with each player winning 2 championships. These legendary series were filled with iconic moments. Bird hitting clutch shots, Magic threading no-look passes for game-winning dunks. It was more than a rivalry. It was a clash of styles, a battle for the soul of basketball. The Celtics represented the East Coast with their tough, gritty, team-oriented style, while the Lakers represented the West Coast with a flashy Showtime offense. This dichotomy captivated the nation. Amazingly, despite being fierce competitors, they had a deep respect for each other. They recognized each other's greatness and understood their rivalry was bigger than both of them. It was about pushing the boundaries of the sport, inspiring fans, and leaving a legacy. Larry Bird and Magic Johnson's journeys intersected with 1979, a pivotal moment in basketball history. This year shaped and challenged them, setting the stage for one of the most iconic rivalries in sports. Their impact on the NBA is undeniable. They brought back passion, innovation, and excitement that captivated the world. Their story reminds us that greatness can emerge from unexpected places and that rivalries fueled by respect elevate everyone. Thank you for joining us for this week's episode of Iconic Seasons 1979. We'll be back with more stories from the 1979 season. If you like this week's episode, leave us a rating or review. Until next time, keep your dribble low and your eyes up.